The new year is around the corner and perhaps you're making a resolution to be a better guitarist than the previous year. In this video, I share 5 practices that I've adopted to improve my musicianship and tone, which were immensely helpful throughout the year. Let's jump right in with practice number 1. Explore the instrument differently. Exploring the frontiers and testing the boundaries of your creativity could be an avant-garde experience. But there are many small things you can do to give you fresh perspectives and new directions in your musical journey. The simplest thing I did was to simply change up the picks I was using. For many years and even to this day, I use the Dunlop Jazz 3 pick, which I picked up from Juntitled. The shape and form factor make this an ideal shred platform, but its thickness and material lends itself towards a certain sound, and with P&W, we're always looking for more chime. Enter the pick punch. Imagine a hole puncher, but it's pick-shaped. Expired credit cards make for excellent recycled picks, and more importantly, they sound different. I found that there's a snapback when using credit card picks made out of PVC, which results in a chime that's absent from our usual celluloid picks. So rather than dish out more money to import Herdin Blue picks for that U2-esque chime, consider recycling your expired cards, which are horrible for the environment but make for great picks for you to try out.
Christ is born in Bethlehem. Come the herald angels sing. Glory to the newborn King.
Practice number 2 for the new year. Upgrade your parts to improve your playing. I might have talked about better pickups, but I'm going to talk about an often overlooked part: tuners. Specifically, I'm advocating for locking tuners that primarily make life easier, but also have the secondary effect of improving your tone and playing. Sidebar, I'm terrible at making nice windings at the string post with regular tuners. On the minor side, anything that changes the mass of a headstock is going to affect some tone, like accenting frequencies that were dampened with the previous tuners, or changing the balance of the headstock, which could affect vibrational transmissibility. But those changes are minute. You won't suddenly get twice the sustain or more bass with locking tuners. Locking tuners promote tuning stability, and when the guitar stays in tune better, you gain more confidence. You play your organic techniques more courageously: bending, vibrato, whammy bar wobble, and for the most adventurous, dive bombing and cricketing. So if you've been holding back from exploring these techniques because you think your guitar doesn't hold its tuning well, give locking tuners a shot. I've tried a whole bunch, including Spuzzle, Graphtag, and Goto. To restring, line up the string post holes such that the string can be pulled through completely flush with no slack. Spuzzle and Graphtag tuners utilize a locking pin that you can manually tighten with a wheel, while the Goto Magnum locking tuners have a specialty mechanism that pushes down the locking pin while you turn the tuning key. Practice number 3 for the new year: play with less. Compression, drive, delay, reverb. You've heard the adage, less is more, except perhaps Yngwie Malmsteen.
Remember, less is more. And I always said, how can that be? How can less be more? It's impossible. More is more.
Unlike Malmsteen, where his guitar is the primary focus of the performance, all of us in worship teams will have to blend with others in a band context. And anyone who served on a worship team with a full band can relate to this. I can't hear myself in the mix. Now, before you blame all your mix woes on the AV crew, check if these apply to your guitar tone. Are you playing with moderate to heavy compression, delay, and reverb? I'll admit, when set to moderate to heavy, these effects make your tone so fun to play. But in a live situation where dynamics and note intelligibility are crucial to being heard in the mix, you should really aim to set compression lower and delays reverbs darker. Here's HW from ToneJunkie sharing his tweaking philosophy regarding darker delays and reverbs, and I've linked the full video in the description box below.
Okay, why do we want the guitar so bright? Because I want to add a lot of darker elements. That's really the point here. I want to add warmer, darker elements so that I can use a lot of it and my guitar still sits above those elements. That's really the trick here.
Let's deal with compression. Its primary function is to reduce dynamics, make soft parts louder and loud parts softer. That evens out the perceived volume of the tone, eliminating the differences between clean, crunch, and lead sounds, which, I admit, is desirable when you're playing by yourself. But consider this, in a live environment, no one else is using a compressor. When your drummer is playing between verse and chorus, he's going to put in more energy to vary the sections, making the chorus louder. Now you're trying to match the energy and intensity and hoping to play louder, but because you're using moderate to heavy compression, that volume jump isn't happening for you. You're still at the same volume level, which essentially buries you in the mix while the rest of your band makes the volume jump. How do we deal with this? Turn that compressor down. I typically set the threshold to somewhere between -28 to -33 dB and the ratio at 3:1 for a lighter setting. And here's a big secret, turning the mix down. In the Helix ecosystem, the Deluxe compressor and the Kinky comp are my go-to for that specific reason. I typically have it at 50 to 60%, which means a big portion of dry, uncompressed signal is passing through the rest of the chain. This really helps to ensure that my soft playing stays soft and my loud playing stays loud. And what ultimately happens when you're able to hear yourself in the mix? You play more confidently, and that makes you a better guitarist. Practice number 4, record yourself to review. Those of you familiar with my channel would know I post music director videos every now and then. Let me be clear, I don't film those videos primarily for YouTube content. The footage is for me to review my performance as an MD and if possible, to capture how the rest of the band is doing, both for the rehearsal and for the live set. So remember to loop the chorus chords. Watching yourself helps to objectively pick out the idiosyncrasies in your playing. I've gone through sessions thinking I did a good job when in reality, upon review, I've realized I could have communicated more clearly with my MD instructions. I've noticed little quirks that could be distracting on stage. I've caught the moment something wrong manifested on stage and devised ways to counter the problem. One of the big reasons why I push for Ableton automation of my Line 6 gear is that I'm doing too many things on stage, leading the congregation in song, singing, playing my parts right, and something that trips me up every time, having to change sounds while doing all of that. I'm not graceful on my feet at all, and I've mistimed foot switch presses or accidentally pressed the wrong foot switch in the heat of the moment. Consider this example. At the end of this song, we have a loud crash ending with a pop-style heavy lead tone. Barely 2 bars after the crash out, I just start the next song in a new key with a cleaner tone instantaneously. If I stayed on the POG lead sound, there would be quite a lot of rig noise due to the stacked overdrives and the pitch shifter. On an analog board, that would mean pressing at least 2 foot switches to turn the effects off. On my Helix, I can simplify that to 1 foot switch press if I use snapshots. But truthfully, the absolute fastest way to transit from a POG lead tone to a clean tone is with no foot switch presses. And that's where automation comes in. You can check out my previous videos as to how to set this up on your Helix with Ableton Live.
Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let us receive a King. Let's clap our hands
Practice
together.
number 5 for the new year. Establish a practice routine. I saved the hardest for last. This could be the single most important factor why you're not technically getting better. If tone is in the fingers, then it's in your best interest to take the time to upkeep and maintain your connection between the fingers and the fretboard. While in some sense playing guitar is like riding a bike in that you won't lose the core skill, the finer points of techniques pertaining to picking accuracy and finger dexterity in navigating longer passages get lost if you don't upkeep. It's like walking on a treadmill. If you stop walking, you're going to end up moving backwards. You still retain the ability to walk, but you have to catch up to where you stopped walking just to reach the same point. The guitar solo in the previous clip wasn't improvised. It was planned and it was practiced. I previously scored it out for a collab cover and it sounds like this. At the rehearsal, which I'll admit I didn't manage to practice the solo note for note due to circumstances, I still had the facility to alternate pick. The only reason I can still alternate pick at this tempo is that I have a 5-minute daily routine. It used to be 5 hours when I was a student, but again, due to circumstances, I can only afford small pockets of time to practice. There are many practice routines out there freely available for you to try and incorporate into your own. I've personally benefited greatly from Reverb's series of artists and their warm-ups. Some are technical, others are philosophical, but all deal with little exercises that you can adapt into shorter snippets. My personal favorite is Mateo Asato's, as his exercises inculcate note recognition and familiarity, as well as pentatonic pattern fluidity. I'll end off this section with a quote from Bradford of Worship Tutorials. 5 minutes of practicing that song for insert any event here today is better than trying to cram it the night before rehearsal. Commit 5 minutes a day and it'll be way easier. I promise. And that's me. What about you? What have you been doing this year that has helped you grow as a musician and as a worship team member? I'd love to hear your ideas and thoughts and stories in the comment section below. That's it from me. Thanks for watching this video. Here on my channel, I'm committed to helping you get the best tone out of your gear as well as playing your best for the Sunday service. If you're a worship musician on the same journey, consider liking, subscribing, hitting that bell icon, and sharing this video with someone whom you know could benefit. If you're looking for more technical content like my ever-increasing playlist of Line 6 gear tutorials, feel free to check them out to get the most out of your Helix, HX Stomp, and Pod Go. See you there. Until next time, I'm Justin. I'm all about worship guitar, and may God bless you in the new year.